All right, welcome back. In the last session, we talked about your financial fuel gauge, the balance sheet. We learned that the balance sheet is your complete one-page snapshot of your financial health and well-being because it shows everything you own, everything you owe, and how much wealth you've built up so far, your net worth. Like the fuel gauge on your vehicle, the balance sheet shows how much freedom or range you have in terms of your financial choices and life options. I hope you filled out your own balance sheet so you know where you stand today and that you can keep updating that balance sheet each month or at least once a year so you know how you're progressing. It only takes 15 or 20 minutes to update, and it will keep you in control of your financial future and will help you make good financial decisions for the coming month and year. In this session, we're going to dive just a little deeper into the balance sheet because there's a couple of important distinctions I want to make for you that will just help you get that much more financial leverage out of your financial decisions and really make that balance sheet work for you. Not all assets and liabilities are created equal. And what I mean by that is some assets are better than others. Some liabilities are better than others. And believe it or not, some assets can bring down your net worth and some liabilities can bring up your net worth. So these are some valuable nuances to understand to make the most of your wealth building decisions. Let's take a closer look at the asset side of the balance sheet. Now here we have the cash in the bank, the investments and mutual funds and retirement funds, the rental property and the personal property, the house, the cars, the ATV, the snowmobile, and so forth. There's a peculiar quality about these different assets, and that is that some of them grow in value over time, and some of them lose value over time. So let's divide these two assets into two broad types. Depreciating assets, which lose value over time, and appreciating assets, which grow in value over time. Most of the personal property, the cars, the boat, the snowmobile, we all know they lose value over time. You can't sell them today for what you paid for them. Not only that, but they cost money to maintain. As wonderful as they all are, they're not putting money in your pocket, they're taking money out of your pocket. We call these depreciating assets because they depreciate or lose value over time. And that means they're decreasing your net worth over time. And it's not bad to have them, they're great and sometimes necessary to have. Just know what they are on your balance sheet. Appreciating assets, on the other hand, grow in value over time. Over time, the stocks, bonds, and mutual funds will grow. The retirement plan will grow, and that's not even counting the extra money you're putting into it every month, which multiplies the growth. If you bought a rental property and manage it well, you will get positive cash flow from that, and the property itself should appreciate over time. If you invested in a successful business, that will grow in value over time. The cash you have on hand, assuming it's in an interest-bearing account that is paying more than inflation, will increase over time. And your home, all things being equal, will appreciate over time as well, though it can be costly to maintain. So when you're making financial decisions and buying and investing in things, consider what kind of asset it is. Is it an appreciating asset or a depreciating one? Will it grow in value over time and increase your net worth? Or will it lose its value over time and decrease your net worth? If you want to grow your wealth, you have to build up your portfolio of appreciating assets. It doesn't mean you have to have a lot of them, but you should be putting all the extra money you can into investments that increase your net worth because the toys and the TVs will just lose value and cost you money. Now let's take a look at the liabilities side of the house. Just like all assets, not all liabilities are created equal. And just like assets, we can divide liabilities into two broad categories. Call it bad debt and good debt, because there is a difference. Some kinds of debt are better to have than other kinds. What they call bad debt is debt that doesn't bring any extra money in. You take out a loan or whip out the credit card to buy something, and what you buy isn't going to bring you more money like a loan to buy a business or an investment property would. Instead, this loan buys a depreciating asset like a car or a TV or a vacation, which is a depreciating asset. And you end up with something that's actually going to be a drag on your net worth because it lost value. Most of the loans we think about in life are bad debt. The car loan, the credit cards and retail account balances, the personal loans. I'm going to go out on a limb and include the home mortgage in this list because a mortgage to buy the house you live in is not bringing more money in like a rental property would. You're going to live there, you're going to pay for all the maintenance and upkeep, and it will not put any money in your pocket in terms of revenue or income. It will actually cost you money. Now, hopefully the home appreciates in value over time, and if it appreciates more than all the money you poured into it over the years, then it was a good investment and it was a positive for your net worth, but that's not always guaranteed. The other type of debt is good debt. This is debt that you take on to bring in more money. For example, you take out a mortgage on an investment property you acquire, a house or a condo, that you're going to rent out to tenants and collect rent from. Assuming you buy the property wisely and manage it well, the rent you take in will pay for the mortgage and the upkeep and leave you with some extra cash every month or year. Or perhaps you take out a bank loan to buy or start a successful business, and you get income from the business that covers the loan and grows in value over time. These are examples of good debt, and they can be very good for your net worth. Now, I've also included student loan on this list, but be careful because it could be good debt or bad debt. If the education you borrowed money for leads to a greater salary, more income, new business opportunities, greater profitability, then it was a worthwhile and positive investment. But it doesn't always lead to that. There are lots of stories in the news these days about the exorbitant costs of education and how many people are thousands of dollars in debt in school loans and their financial income has not improved. Now, please understand, I'm not questioning the value of education. It's critical. Just recognize that the loan must actually bring you more money than it cost for it to be considered good debt. As we said in the last session, you always increase your net worth when you pay down your liabilities, whether they are good debts or bad debts. And as we mentioned, taking out a loan to buy a depreciating asset will always be bad for your net worth. On the other hand, taking on a liability to buy an appreciating asset, something that brings in money and grows in value, can be good for your net worth. All right, so now you know the difference between appreciating assets and depreciating assets, and you know the difference between good debt and bad debt. Now, go back to your balance sheet and see what you have. Take note of which assets grow in value over time and which ones lose value. Look at your liabilities. Which ones are good debt that bring you more money and which are bad debt that are just costing you money. As you go forward in the coming months and years, build your portfolio of appreciating assets and know what kind of liabilities you take on. Good debt can be a major league wealth builder for you, but bad debt is always going to hold you back. Focus on paying off the bad debt with the highest interest rate first, the ones that are costing you the most money and hurting your net worth the most. Once you've taken that second look at your balance sheet, come back to the next module where we'll get into the second powerful tool of wealth building, your cash flow statement. This is the tool for tracking and controlling where the money's coming from and where it's going out. This is where the rubber meets the road, the daily flow of all the money in your life. And when you control this, you control how quickly you'll grow your wealth. That's why we call it the financial speedometer. I can't wait to tell you about it in the next session.